Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg. Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Shabbos Kodesh. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei Shabbos v'korei oneg. Shomrei Shabbos korei oneg. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei Shabbos v'korei oneg. Shomrei Shabbos korei oneg. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Shabbos Kodesh. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei Shabbos v'korei oneg. Shomrei Shabbos korei oneg. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei Shabbos v'korei oneg. Shomrei Shabbos korei oneg. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Shabbos
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Cantor Luck,
Good
Eric.
Shabbat, Rabbi
Everyone
Roden.
is joining us for music tonight. Shabbat Shalom to everyone at home. I have not led a service in this room in, I don't think, since the High Holy Days, and it is so wonderful to be back here. Right now, this room is empty, so we are following a set of guidelines that allow us to be unmasked as vaccinated clergy without a congregation present. So we're going to be able to do that for a couple of weeks, and then as you may have seen today in your email, a letter from David Goldman, our executive director. Starting in early June, we are so excited to be welcoming back our congregation. We'll be following a whole set of safety protocol, including everyone wearing masks as well, including the clergy. But check out your email for that. You'll have to register. There'll be a process to do it, but we'll be having up to 100 congregants in our services again in our beautiful main sanctuary, which allows for plenty of space for physical distancing. Shabbat Shalom again. Wherever you are on this Shabbat, take a deep breath. Let yourself enter a place of holiness, a time of holiness, different than the week behind us. The week behind us and the week to come, let them just fall away for the moment as we are present in this holy and sacred time. Tomorrow morning, a wonderful young man, Ari Perlmutter, will become bar mitzvah. I'm sorry that he can't be here with his family to light candles tonight, but we send mazel tov to them. I know they're lighting candles at home right now. We're going to light the Shabbat candles here. Please join us if you have candles at home. If you're following along in Mishkan Tefillah, the words are on page 2. welcome the Sabbath Bride on page 20 with your advert.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 הנה שבת נקווה אליי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 הנה שבת נקווה אליי, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, Emanu-El המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמו לתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 הנה שבת נקווה אליי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 הנה שבת נקווה אליי, לקראת שבת וחוד ונראה, היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה מחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקווה אליי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, הנה שבת נקווה אליי. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקווה אליי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, יללי, 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 בני שבת נקווה אליי. בוא לי שלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובתולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקווה אליי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקווה אליי.
We are on page 22 with Psalm 92. The righteous bloom like a date palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the house of Adonai. They flourish in the courts of our God. In old age they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that Adonai is upright, my rock, in whom there is no wrong.
Shetu shar Adonai tzuri velo avla tabu.
We welcome angels with Shalom Alechem, page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu is on page 28. Please rise.
Adonai HaMevorach.
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to the plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim.
Avat olam bet Yisrael amechavta תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן, אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותך דוח לעולם, לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ועבדך לתסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
At the beginning of the service, I asked you to try to let go of last week and next week and just be here. I want to check in. How are you doing with that? Maybe place your hand on your chest for a moment. Feel the breath. There's a teaching that every time we breathe, we utter God's name. Continue with the words of Micha Mocha on page 40.
Yai lai, yai lai lai lai, hai lai 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 lai, yai lai, hai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, Micha Mocha, Bailim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Nedar v'kodesh, Nora, Tehilot, Ose, Pele, Nora, Tehilot, Ose, Pele, Machutecha, Rauvanecha, Okeya Yam Lifnei Moshe Miriam Zeili, Anu ve'amru, Anu ve'amru, Adonai, Yimloch, Leholam, Vahed, Adonai, Yimloch, Leholam, Vahed, Yai lai, Yai lai lai lai, Yai lai lai, Yai 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 lai lai lai, Yai lai, Yai lai lai lai, Yai lai lai, Yai lai lai. ונאמר כי ברא יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גל Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm.
On this Shabbat, we send blessings for Refuah Shlema, for a complete healing to those in our congregation, in our community who are ill. Please feel free to enter their names into the chat if you're joining us online, and I'll share names that have been shared with us. Susan Cole, Frank Friedman, Ruth Rishin, Rusty Holden, Lauren Knickerbocker, Sandra Gordon, Terry Bohr, Marco Friedman, Sonia Gordon, Monica Buchnik, Judy Nadell, Rogelio Salazar, Rick Gluck, Musa Busina, Angelica Cavanero, Christina Lopez, Gerd Stern, Barbara Mitchell, and Caleb Jarsky. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, God of our ancestors, we ask that you send a refuah shlema, a complete healing to those who are ill, to those who worry about them and care for them, to their doctors and caregivers. We ask that you send the love of our congregation. Together we say, Amen.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkidenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom, Lishalom, Ve'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim. Frosalenu Sukat Shlomecha, Frosalenu Sukat Shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us daily wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
We continue with the Amidah. Please rise.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chazdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mivii Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechayeh hakol atah rab lehoshia. Morid hatal, mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al givurot, umido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatmiach Yeshua, v'neheman atal achayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha sela. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי. יהיו לרצון אמריכם, והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי,
My 5-month-old daughter loves to play peekaboo. And because she loves it, this simple game is now one of my favorite activities. Because when I see her smile, I see the face of God. According to a quick glance at Wikipedia, developmental psychologists theorize that infants' fascination with this game has to do with the development of the ability to understand object permanence, which is the ability to understand that things exist even when you don't see them. Beginning this week in San Francisco, vaccinated adults no longer need to wear masks while outdoors except in large crowds. It occurs to me that we may have all just been invited to play a large game of peekaboo. Wow, you're still here, behind the mask. Hello, neighbor. One feature of the pandemic that I find to be particularly unsettling is the loss of seeing each other's faces. Perhaps those who have experienced loss of vision or who have never had eyesight have more wisdom to offer on this, but I find walking around our city and not seeing faces to be rather disquieting. Jewish thinkers regularly contemplate the human face as a site of the sacred. In the Torah, after his death, Moses is described as the only prophet who ever knew God, panim el panim, face to face, which we could understand to be a comment on the kind of intimacy that Moshe and God had with one another. Indeed, earlier in the Torah, God warns Moses that nobody may see God's face and live, suggesting that the very act of gazing upon the face of another constitutes a certain condition of vulnerability. As I was walking in the city after the rule changed and noticed how many people remain masked, I started to think about this object permanence. On the one hand, it seems we have all acted with great faith over this past year, trusting that behind the surgical masks, scarves, and shields was a human face, the face of an other. On the other hand, I wonder if we've developed some sense of fear of exposure. Exposure to COVID-19, yes, but also exposure to one another, to vulnerability, after this year of living behind masks and walls and screens. What will it mean for us to show our faces again, to become exposed? How will each of us decide when it is right for us to shine our faces upon one another, to lift up our countenance, as the priestly blessing says, upon our neighbors and strangers, friends? Emanu-El was a French Jewish philosopher whose life spanned the bulk of the 20th century and whose work was important in both secular and Jewish life. Among his most important contributions to Jewish thought was his theology of the human face. Levinas theorized that a heavenly commandment, a mitzvah, appears to us in the face of another human being. That to encounter the face of another human being is, in a way, to get a glimpse of the divine and to be commanded to care for and respond to that face, especially the face of another who suffers. In one of his most famous quotes from his book Ethics and Infinity, he writes, "The first word of the face is, 'Thou shalt not kill.' It is an order." Levinas understands the human face to be like a text, like a page of parchment from the Torah, a manifestation of Jewish laws and values that compel us to care for and be responsible for one another. When we see each other, we are exposing our vulnerability and our messy humanity. After years of being apart, after a bitter family feud, when Jacob and Esau are reunited, Jacob looks upon his brother's face and says, "Seeing your face is like seeing the face of God." The idea of exposing our faces again startles some of us, frightens some of us. We're not all ready. For others, it is only liberating, the very thing that signifies that perhaps this devastating pandemic really will turn a corner. We each bring our own pieces to the puzzle of rebuilding public life, and there is not one right way for everyone. And it feels important to include in the conversation that Judaism understands the face to be holy. The tradition asks us to see one another, to show one another our vulnerability. We must continue to wear masks as long as public health officials determine it is needed in all of the settings they tell us to. And also, if the idea of taking off the mask, of exposing your gorgeous punim to the world again, feels overwhelming or even impossible, remember that written upon your nose and cheeks and forehead are sacred and life-affirming words. We will, at some point, God willing, uncover our faces. If you have not yet been vaccinated and you are able to, please get vaccinated. We are counting on you, and especially those who are not able to be vaccinated, to help create conditions in which we can shine upon one another once again. We have this human need, this divinely human need to see the face of the other, to look to our neighbors with the fragility of a smile as we pass on the street. 5-month-olds remind us that there is truly no greater joy than the experience of seeing the face of someone that you have not seen for a while, to gaze upon them, to be filled with the joy of knowing we are not alone, to be reminded that loved ones have been there all along. Shabbat Shalom.
The first time I ever saw your face, I thought the sun rose in your eyes, and the moon and the stars were the gifts you gave to the dawn at the end of the sky. first time I ever saw your face, I felt your heart so close to mine, and if I knew our joy would fill the earth and last till the end of time, my love. The first time I ever saw your face, your face, your face, your עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המוליו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We continue with Mourner's Kaddish. If you will be saying Kaddish with us, the words are on page 294. On this Shabbat, we remember Eleanor Miller, who has yet to be laid to rest. And we observe the Shloshim of Yitzhak ben Sosia, Harriet Sachs, Lady Marion Marks, Brian Eason, Gwen Kerner, Philip Gammon, Judith Miller, and Richard Jacobson. And we commemorate the yahrzeits of Richard Benjamin Alperton, Fanny Batat, Julius Block, Martin H. Braun, Rabbi Elliot Burstein, Doreen Cody, Joseph Cohn, Anna P. Cohn, Lydia Culasso, Betty Swig Dinner, Lenora Farkas Kane, Laurel Garber Ferguson, Molly Friend, Martha Garber, Sylvia Goldstein, Galia Gordon, James W. Hartman, Michael Hawk, Bella Hirsch, Maya Israelvich, Charles Jacobson, Milton Jasper, Eleanor G.I. Chimnick, Rosalie Kane, Melville Kaufman, Sylvia Kay, Sophia Kodak, Al Kleinman, Helen Nee, Alex Krashnoyan, Beatrice L. Krause, Herbert Lang, Helen Lazar, Milton Levins, Claire Matzker Lilienthal, Shirley R. Lipschitz, Jane A.L. McCarthy, Evelyn Meyer Merker, Rose C. Miller, Thomas Miranda, Ada G. Moser, Robert Irwin Parkett, Meyer S. Pedat, J. Pijto, Teresa Reiner, David Roa, Irvin Robbins, Burton Rosen, Claude N. Rosenberg Jr., Norman A. Rubin, Jacob Rubenstein, Henry Sicular, Esther Siegel, Lucy Simkowitz, George Slominski, Corin Sobel, Walter Tick, Haskell Titchell, Jean Weil, Morris Aaron Weinberg, Edie Wertheim, and Rabbi Aaron D. Pankin, who served as president of our Reform Seminary, Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion. We hold all the names in our hearts as together we say Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabbah, Bialma divrach chirote v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yeheshmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha berichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yeheshlama Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We now bring joy into our Shabbos with the Kiddush. Please join us at home if you have your glass of wine ready.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam meporei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kijanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'yavav ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh זכר ליציאת מצרים, קיוונו ובחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat lechaim.
Before we say Motzi, a couple of announcements. Yet again, just this past week, there was another attack on Asian neighbors of ours in our city. So I want you to know, if you haven't seen in the newsletters, that we are doing a few things to respond to this as a congregation. One of them is a gathering on the 13th for members of our congregation who identify as AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islander. We want to provide a space only for those who are Jewish and Asian to come together. So please check the website, check your email for those details, and there's more coming after that. We hope to bring together families at some point in June. So we are trying to respond, and we'll continue to do more, as we always have opposed hate for all people at our congregation. Additionally, as you may have heard me mention at the beginning of the service, we look forward to welcoming our congregation back into the sanctuary with a whole set of protocols that we think are going to do a really good job of keeping us all safe. So please be on the lookout for that. Am I missing anything, Cantor? Oh, Shavuot is coming. Shavuot is coming. And all of your rabbis, I think all of your rabbis.
And all of your cantors.
And all of your cantors will be teaching. So come hang out with us.
What are you teaching, Rabbi Rodich?
I am teaching, what am I teaching? A whole line of thought about how to deal with chaos from a Jewish perspective. Chaos and uncertainty. What are you teaching?
I'm teaching a little bit about the music of the Mojitzer Hasidim and their melodies. Their most famous melody being Mizmor LeDavid. So check it out.
Yeah, it's a traditional night to eat a lot of dairy and study Torah. So grab a cheesecake and turn on your laptop. Let's join together for Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz te'avon.
Yismechu v'malchutecha. Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg. Shomrei Shabbat korei oneg. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg. Shomrei Shabbat korei oneg. Ay, 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 Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 Shabbos Kodesh. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 Shabbos Kodesh. Shabbos Kodesh. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Yismechu v'malchutecha. Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg. Korei oneg. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Ay, 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 ay. Shabbos Kodesh. Shabbos Kodesh.
Shabbat Shalom. Good night, everyone. Wonderful to spend this Shabbat with you.
Shabbos.